Readings in Planning Theories. Bringing Powers to Planning Research. One Researcher's Praxis Story. Chapter 15, presented by Nam Banks. This chapter addressed the biggest problem in theorizing and understanding planning. That is our ambivalence about powers. The author of this chapter is Ben Flibert. He is the professor of major programs management at Oxford University. He works to cover mega projects, decision making, city management, and philosophy of social science. He was knighted in the Orders of Dannebrog in 2002, which is a great honor in Denmark. He first quoted John Freeman, an influential and provocative voice in planning theory. He said, one of the things I would do differently today is in thinking about planning, introducing the inevitable question of powers. Why is power important? Because usually what actually happens in politics and planning might be very different from what we expect. And this issue is oftentimes be ignored by many other big name theorists like Krust in his research in 1994, Fischler's in 1998, Forresters and Healy in 1997. They talk about powers, but remain strongly normative and procedural without substantial understanding of real politics and real rationality that define powers. Do you believe knowledge is powers? According to the authors, we can't be sure about that. He stated, a student who is not exposed to knowledge that address the question of whether is it true that knowledge is always important, or what decide whether knowledge gets to count as knowledge or not. Such question was never asked, especially in school, in academic environments. Here, the author found his professional interest in planning, the relationship between rationality and powers, truth and politics. He found a blind spot between rationality and powers. Ideally, first the planners investigate a policy problem, and then they inform the city councils, who would then decide on the problem. But oftentimes, powers ignore or even designs new knowledge at its convenience. It actually happened to the author in his early years. His report regarding whether to centralize or decentralize urban developments was returned, and all the text and figures that was crossed out was only supporting decentralizations, which can only mean one thing. The decision was already made way before he submitted his papers, and everything he wrote down had to show that centralization was desirable. Which led him to his method, the phonetic planning research. The author introduced his methodology he developed to study powers. He focused on the 4 questions. Number 1, where are we going? Number 2, who gains and who loses, and by which mechanisms of powers. Number 3, is it desirable? Number 4, what should be done? He hopes that it would be an antidote to the so what problem. The problem in which, when asked, if you were wrong about this, who will notice? The answer would be nobody. He decided to study how this method will work in the town he lives and works, Albert, which in Denmark. The first question is, where are we going with planning and democracy in Albert? This question should be answered on the basis of the researchers' attitude to what they study. They should be well aware of the different groups typically have different opinions and views and interests, and that there exists no general principle by which all differences can be resolved. In this particular example, the author found that a private interest group might have enjoyed special treatment from elected and administrative city officials. For the Albert's project, this only came down to a simple argument for cars or against cars, between the chambers thinking car is kings and the city planners who want to reduce automobile traffic in the city centers. The next question is, who gains and who loses by which mechanism or powers? By switching around and playing with the numbers, the chamber has made a claim that far more than 50% of the sales in downtown Albert were made by car drivers, when in fact their portions only take up 15%. And the winner in this case is the business community in downtown Albert, who have seen an increase in retail sales while sales figures declined at the national level during the same period. The losers were the citizens in downtown areas, the visitors, the taxpayers who live, work, walk, and ride their bikes, drive their cars, and use public transportation in the downtown area. They all are exposed to increased risk of traffic accidents and higher level of noise and air pollution. The third question, is it desirable? The answer is a simple no. The Albert projects were originally designed to be environmentally friendly and to create a better living condition for its citizens. The result is totally the opposite. The study shows how power defines what gets to count as knowledge. Power is defined physical, economics, social, and environmental, and reality itself. The last question is, what should be done? The city officials acknowledge the fact that the project needs changes only after the author released his study in a 2-volume, 640 pages book about the Albert study. The author's study led to transparency led to public attention, which led to accountability. The city ended the project and built a new one from his room. A few years later, Albert won the European Planning Prize for the new plans, triumphing over 300 nominees from all over European Union. In conclusion, the author stated that this article is only one single researcher's story, and the full question can be answered in many different ways. And what works in one situation does not necessarily mean it will work in another situation. So there is not a fixed method for doing phonetic planning research. The aim is not to tell planners how we think they can make a difference, but to understand how we ourselves can make a difference with the work we do.